In today's video, we're going to take my $50 homemade sawmill and the Husqvarna Rancher 460 from Tractor Supply Company out into the woods and put them to task, see how they perform.
So when I built my chainsaw sawmill, it had to be one thing above all else. It had to be really portable and fit in the back of my Prius.
So it was really important that this thing was super portable, and the fact that it just breaks down really easy, goes together really easy, made it even so much better. So to put it together, I basically just screw the runners, or the parts that hold the log, to the track. Flip it over, add the sliding component with the tower on it, and add the handle. Now, to mount the saw, I drilled 2 holes through the bar of the chainsaw. Now, it's difficult to drill through a bar of a chainsaw, but if you use a really high quality bit, good lubrication, and go slow, it is very possible to do it. Now, I'm using a wooden L frame that those bolts come through, and I didn't quite trust it, so I threw a screw in the back of the handle of the saw as well, and it held fine through all the cutting I did today. So I learned the hard way that you really need to keep this thing level because it's made out of wood. If you get it twisted one way or another, you can get some cuts that'll be short on one side, tall on the other. Now, to hold my log together, I used some wedges and some screws, and that worked really well. I think if I'm going to use this a lot more, I'll come up with some kind of, clamping system that slides over it. So once everything was set up, it was time to start the cut. We'll mention the Husqvarna starts really easy. It starts a lot easier than other chainsaws that I've used in the past. I do want to mention that I put a ripping chain on the chainsaw. Now, a ripping chain is a little bit different than a crosscut chain. It's a little bit more aggressive, and it's designed for doing slab work rather than, say, cross-cutting. And it did help. Now, right now I am thrilled to pieces with the performance of the mill itself. It's wood on wood, but I used some paste wax between there to keep everything nice and smooth. Now, if I wanted to leave this outdoors, that would be okay, but I'd want to paint everything with like an exterior paint and then wax it on a regular basis. But this was like the first cut, and it was thrilled to see this. Absolutely amazing. So the material I'm cutting through is southern yellow pine, and it's a pretty dense, hard pine. A lot of moisture and sap in this. The tree literally came down the morning prior to cutting this, and I was a little bit concerned about trying to take such a big slab with the saw, but the saw didn't have any issue with it at all. And having the mill set up the way it was great. I was away from the blade. It was very comfortable standing position, which was super nice, and everything just worked like it was supposed to. So any of you that know about slab work with a chainsaw, you know that I'm putting this saw through its paces. I've been very impressed with the Husqvarna 460 Rancher from Tractor Supply. It's awesome.
That's awesome. So about 17.5 is the wide spot, about 16 there. If you would have told me a 60cc saw would have cut through very wet, I literally cut this tree down this morning, super sappy wet pine, in 5 minutes, 6 feet of it in 5 minutes, I wouldn't have believed you. I'd have told you you're about 5 skunks shy of a stink party. That is awesome.
So those of you who've been watching me for a while know I'm all about the engineering and efficiency of things, so it just made sense to put a hand crank pulley system on here. And that was huge. I mean, that made such a difference. You pull the trigger, turn the crank, and the 460 Rancher was just ripping right straight through the material. So this is definitely a very cool setup, and literally built this whole thing for under $50. So it was just a great build, great saw. It was a wonderful time, and I expect that I'll be doing a lot of milling in the upcoming weeks. After a few hours of messing around, I had 7/8 slabs that are anywhere from 2 inches to 4 inches thick and anywhere from 15 to 20 inches wide, plus some small boards. So got a lot of material to stack up and I can use later. I'm excited about that.
Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. I am having an absolute blast with this saw, with this homemade sawmill. Literally, it's like, you know, $50 in material, built a homemade sawmill. It's performing great. I will say you need to keep it on level ground. If there's any twist to it, that'll kind of affect your cut from one side to the other. I learned that the hard way. I had a couple cuts that started out at 2 inches thick and ended up at 2.5 inches thick. But once I leveled it out, nice and even all the way across. So the 460 Rancher from Husqvarna is killing it. Normally when you do slab work, you want to start out at about a 75cc saw. This is a 60cc saw, and it is beasting through 19-20 inches of material. A good ripping blade, and just, you know, slow and steady wins the race, and right through it. So I'm super impressed with the saw. I definitely take this out in the woods anytime. It's been great for me. So hats off to Husqvarna Tractor Supply. Thank you very much for that. It's been a lot of fun. As far as the mill goes, putting the hand crank on was the smartest thing I've done. It's amazing how much easier it is when all you're just doing is, you know, turning it. So that was really helpful. I do want to reroute the cable though. That's going to go underneath the housing and then up the arm rather than across the top here. I like the idea of it putting it on the left, but I don't necessarily want to turn it with my left hand. So maybe, you know, who sees? I guess that's not that big of a deal to turn it with your left hand, but thrilled with it. And I expect that you'll probably see this setup in some upcoming videos as well, because I come up with a couple more little improvements and fun things for it. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this build, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell notification next to it. Lots of cool builds coming up, and you're not going to want to miss out on that. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you. If you want to see the build video for this sawmill, I'll put a link somewhere here. It'll pop up. And we'll talk to you guys later.